Most men don't ignore red flags because they're naive. They ignore them because last week felt perfect, and that's the part almost nobody talks about. If a relationship were bad all the time, you'd leave quickly. There would be no confusion, no debate, no late-night overthinking. But that's not how these dynamics work. Instead, you get good weeks. Weeks where she's affectionate, present, warm, attentive. Arguments disappear. Distance fades. Connection feels real again. And suddenly you think, maybe things are finally changing. Today we're going to talk about why those good weeks are often the exact reason men stay trapped far longer than logic would normally allow. This isn't about blaming her. And it's not about calling men foolish. This is about psychology. Because the human brain struggles to recognize danger when relief feels good. Most men imagine unhealthy relationships as constant chaos, daily fights, endless drama, permanent stress. But real dysfunctional dynamics almost never look like that. They oscillate, tension builds, communication weakens, uncertainty creeps in. Then suddenly, everything resets. She becomes sweet again. Messages return faster. Affection reappears. You laugh together like nothing ever happened. And in that moment, something subtle occurs. Your brain treats relief as resolution. Previous anxiety fades from memory. Bad relationships rarely survive because they're consistently bad. They survive because they are occasionally incredible. There's a psychological principle called intermittent reinforcement. It's the same mechanism behind gambling addiction. If a slot machine paid every time, interest would disappear quickly. But unpredictable rewards create persistence. You keep playing because the next win might arrive. Relationships can operate the same way. Unpredictable affection becomes neurologically stronger than consistent affection. When connection disappears and suddenly returns, the emotional reward intensifies. You don't just feel happy, you feel relief, reassurance, chosen again. And that emotional spike quietly overrides pattern recognition. After a good week, perception shifts. You start rationalizing the red flags. You think, she was just stressed, or we're communicating better now, or even, this feels different. But notice what's happening. You're no longer evaluating behavior across time. You're interpreting the past through present emotion. Psychologists call this emotional state bias. And this is exactly how bar girls want you to think. The brain edits memory to protect hope. Because recognizing repetition would require confronting loss. So history softens, conflict shrinks, optimism expands, and the cycle resets unnoticed. This may be the most important part of the entire video. Many men confuse relief with love. When tension finally disappears, your nervous system settles. Anxiety drops, uncertainty fades, and calm feels extraordinary. But pause for a moment. Are you happy, or simply no longer distressed? The greater the emotional tension beforehand, the stronger reconciliation feels afterward. So reunion feels meaningful, even when nothing structural changed. You're not necessarily falling deeper in love. You're recovering from emotional withdrawal. By now, investment exists. Time, money, emotional energy, future imagination. You defended the relationship, ignored warnings, explained situations to friends, maybe even argued with some of them. Leaving now isn't just separation, it threatens identity. Admitting misjudgment creates psychological discomfort, so good weeks become evidence that staying was correct. You stop searching for patterns. You start searching for justification. Here's where most men miscalculate. They judge relationships by moments. She's amazing when we're together. But moments don't predict outcomes. Patterns do. The real question isn't behavior during connection. It's behavior after stability appears. Does distance return? Do identical conflicts repeat? Does communication slowly decline again? Good weeks interrupt perspective. And without perspective, repetition hides in plain sight. Nightlife relationships intensify this cycle. You experience bonding followed by separation, high emotional peaks followed by silence, reunions that feel cinematic, distance that feels unbearable. Every reunion feels like proof. But psychologically, these are reinforcement cycles accelerating attachment while preventing stability, which makes emotional highs stronger and good weeks unforgettable. Most men ask, "How does she treat me when things are good?" That guarantees confusion, because anyone can behave well during emotional peaks. The better question is, what reliably happens after stability? Patterns return where structure remains unchanged, and structure predicts outcomes far better than emotion ever can. Clarity begins when you stop tracking feelings and start tracking repetition. You stop asking, "Is today good?" and start asking, "Has the cycle changed?" If breakdown keeps returning, good weeks aren't progress. They're maintenance. They preserve attachment without repairing foundation. Here's the cold water. The good moments were real. The laughter was real. The affection was real. The connection felt real. But the fights were also real. The lies were real. The disappearances were real too. A few real moments do not cancel repeating structure. Consistency builds relationships. Relief delays endings. Many men don't stay because improvement exists. They stay because calm feels too valuable to risk losing. If you've ever thought, "This week feels different," pause. Ask one question. Not how good today feels, but whether tomorrow quietly returns to the same cycle you've already lived. Because once you recognize repetition, emotion loses its ability to disguise pattern, and clarity becomes unavoidable. If this hit close to home, comment below. In the next video, we're going to talk about why and how men behave differently once they are in places like Pattaya. Subscribe if you want clarity instead of comfort. Until next time, stay sharp.